hospitals to brace for mass casualties right across Europe. And no, this is not clickbait, this is not a joke. I wish it were untrue, but this is absolutely true. Now, before we go into all of this, I've got to give a little bit of context around what's happening here. In fact, just for those of the skeptics on the channel, I'll very quickly show you French hospitals told to prepare for war in Europe next year. They've issued all sorts of things. Now, this is all due to what's taken place today predominantly, but over the last week. It's not just that. We've got another big announcement that's come out today from Russia against the UK. And it's a bad one. Let me just say that. What Russia has declared against the UK is a bad one, a real bad one. And Keir Starmer really pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, and he kept thinking that Russia wasn't going to do anything with the UK's latest event against Russia, shall we call it? And now we look like we could be in some trouble here. So let's have a look then. Let's go through some of the articles and let me bring you up to date on everything going on. So the first thing is that today was the Coalition of the Willing meeting. And what they've basically agreed upon is that they will be offering military support to Ukraine. Now, again, even here, there's a lot of context we need to go over because, and we'll cover this in a couple of the articles, basically, Putin has ignored the deadline by President Trump. And this has sort of put Trump in a slightly different position. He still didn't attend this meeting that took place today in Europe, which was a pretty serious meeting, actually. So Trump didn't attend that. He sent his special envoy in his place. And they still didn't quite agree what they are going to provide with this special military operation, as they are. It's quite funny. They used to say, when Russia called it that, they said, no, it's a full-scale invasion, right? But now that, and Russia called it a special military operation, now Europe is calling theirs a special military operation. You can't look at this stuff seriously because you just go, are they for real? What they're calling what they're doing now, but yes, they are for real. So let's have a look then. What has just been announced in basically the last few hours here? Military chiefs from countries involved in the Coalition of the Willing have completed the technical work on the security guarantees they will provide to Ukraine in the event of a ceasefire. And we'll come on to the warning, the hospital warning, in a moment. And this is shocking, actually. I was shocked when I saw the date that this is going to occur. Allies in the so-called coalition have planned 3 main security guarantees. This is a reassurance force, air patrols, and naval demining force. Military sources said that wargaming, or the playing out of various potential scenarios, is being envisaged to ensure military capabilities, and plans are ready for all contingencies. One of the key questions remaining is, what do you do when a force, or when you deploy a force and Russia shoots at you, one source said. They haven't answered this yet. Leaders from 34 mostly European countries will, on Thursday, which has already happened, take place in this meeting, which has been convened by Macron, for some reason, we don't know why he's always involved in this, and Keir Starmer. So these are the two. It said at the request of Zelensky. Of course, it would be these two at the request of Zelensky. The heads of NATO, as well as the chiefs of the European Council and European Commission, will also take part. Kyiv sees membership of NATO and the EU as the ultimate security guarantees, but has also urged allies to pledge long-term support to its military to ensure it's in a position of strength and deter future aggression or potential future aggression. Macron affirmed on Wednesday evening, this was last night then, that the technical work carried out by military chiefs since then is now complete. So we know it's complete now. He's already declared this, with the contributions from the Allies prepared, documented, and confirmed. And they're set to be endorsed by politically by the leaders. So we know this is going ahead. Countries involved in the coalition and Ukraine are urging Trump to increase pressure on Russia after President Putin ignored a US deadline to come to the negotiating table. So much to unpack there. Please drop a comment below. Basically your thoughts. I always like to read your thoughts in the comments. So drop a comment below on that. But there's so much to unpack there. We don't yet know what these declarations are. We know very clearly what France's or Macron's declarations are. This doesn't surprise me at all. They have got a crisis at the moment. Have you seen every day the French government is on the brink of collapse and facing a staggering debt crisis? Not just that, look what happens every day in France now. There's these events that take place every single day. It is just a mess. They've issued these warnings as well then, and they're telling citizens how to prepare. But I've got to show you when this is taking place, because I think you're going to be shocked by this, because I was. French hospitals have been given a sobering warning. Prepare for a major military engagement by, again, black and white. I'll even refresh the page. Here we go. Let me refresh the page here. By March 2026. This is legit. March 2026. That is, ladies and gents, that is 6 months away. I don't know if you are as shocked as I am by this, because I've always, since 2020, 2021, I've always said to you, by tracking all of the cycles, fourth turning and all the other cycles, I've always put it at 2027 for this major conflict in Europe. I've never deviated from that forecast. That's what 6 to 7 year forecast. I've never deviated from that. And now they're saying, well, actually, March 2026. I really hope and pray that this is not correct. I really do. But we've seen now that these European leaders, they talk of peace and they say they want peace, but it's not in their best interest. Their best interests, or the people who are above them even, their best interest is war, because that's where they make a ton of profit. And it's the same. You study history enough, you'll see it's always about money. These wars are. It's not about what they tell you it is. That's called propaganda from all sides. It's all sides that use propaganda. It's one of the most powerful tools in warfare. Let's continue on with this then a moment. So here we go. March 2026. Health Minister Catherine Vatrin later confirmed the information. So it's been confirmed. A letter sent by the French Health Ministry said hospitals needed to be prepared by March of 26 for a potential major military deployment. How this was leaked, I'm not exactly sure, but it has been. They said hospitals needed to be prepared to treat both wounded French and foreign soldiers, keyword, soldiers here, and to be able to care for 10,000 to 15,000 men for up to 180 days, so 6 months. What exactly is going on here, ladies and gentlemen? Drop a comment below. The planning letter also mentioned medical staging areas near ports and airports, so soldiers can be moved quickly. This preparedness comes just a few months after they issued survival guides. Yes, survival guides. This was a 20-page manual, contains 63 measures on how you can protect yourself from armed conflict, natural disasters, industrial accidents, because we see a lot of those lately, and nuclear leaks. It also included essentials, what you need, 6 liters of water, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, let me know what you think about this. It also said what to do in a nuclear attack, advising citizens to lock their doors. I'm not sure if this is a joke. But okay, let's just run with that one. And tells them the best way to join local defense forces if an attack is imminent. Yeah, because there's loads of guns around, isn't there, in Europe? What are you going to use? A broom against some soldiers. Okay. French newspaper reported the release could suggest France is reacting to the unstable international situation. Like the UK, France has also increased its defense spending, increasing to 3.5% of economic output from the current 2%. So it's clear. It's very clear what they are planning for. They're planning for major war in Europe. And as always, there's so many ways you can prepare for this. I've given you loads of tips in the past. You can get very cheap visas for other countries. It doesn't have to be a passport, but you can get very cheap visas. I think a lot of people in my private community followed all my advice there. I did a post on how you actually get one of these for a few $100s, basically. About £300, you can get a 5-year residency visa for certain countries, So there's a lot of things you can do. Gold and silver. Have you got your gold and silver that we talked about? Again, you can get something like an ounce of silver under $50 for something like this. You don't need to buy anything heavy, gold sovereigns, half sovereigns. This is really, really important. And remember that I've got a program on this. And this weekend, we've got the technical analysis stuff coming out. Yeah, here it is. So this weekend, we've got technical analysis charting coming out. And then we've got the mining exploration the week before. We just this weekend released picking world-class mining stocks. So just a reminder on that. You can find out more about it in the description. Just go through, have a read, and it will tell you all about this, what it actually covers, the course. It is an amazing course. I honestly don't think I will ever be able to create another course like this. I was thinking about this today, and I just thought I would never be able to recreate a course this big and powerful, because it took... Just think how long it takes to get together some of the world's top experts in every one of these fields, from geology to mining stocks to technical analysis to gold and silver to the vaults to the CEOs of the companies. It was. I can't even believe that I finally put it all together, but it is put together now, and we're releasing the last modules, and when those last modules release, it won't be on the pre-filming sale anymore. So anyway, have a look at it, see if you think it's right for you. Pension experts, everything, savings, it's really, really useful. Trusts, it talks about trusts. Anyway, you get the idea. Let's carry on with this then. Let's get back into, where is it? Okay. So Starmer urges Ukraine allies to go even further in pressure on Russia. He was acting like the big boy. He was going around, big boy pants on, telling everyone, he's chairing this big meeting, trying to act tough. If you remember him on that punch bag that day where the punch bag hit him and he almost fell over. He was trying to be really, really tough, and all this fighting talk. And then he said, well, here's what we're doing. We're using the Russian frozen assets to fund $1 billion in Ukraine aid. Well, it's not actually aid, it's weapons. And how do you think Russia responded to this? Well, here it is. Moscow is now threatening to seize British property. They said they're going to seize British assets in retaliation for the UK's support of Ukraine. So look, it was just announced. Look at this, 4th of September, 4:25, exactly after Starmer started shouting and being the big, or pretending to be, he was basically pretending to be the big dog, but he was actually the chihuahua. He just didn't realize. According to the MOD then, the funding has enabled the purchase of hundreds of thousands of rounds of artillery, hundreds of air defense missiles, spare parts, new support contracts, vehicles. And it's going to be this £2.26 billion loan provided to Ukraine. Notice what it is. It's a loan via the Extraordinary Revenue Acceleration Fund, the ERA, which is being used from proceeds from Russian frozen assets. What have they done then? They've listed the equipment provided by the UK. In the last 50 days alone, 4.7 million rounds of small arms ammo, 60,000 artillery shells, rockets, and missiles, more than 2,500 drones, 200 electronic warfare systems, 100 light weapons, 30 vehicles, counter-drone, and air defense equipment. So it's no surprise then that they've called they called him the British idiot. I think that's what they're saying. Oh, Lammy, the English idiot is what they're calling. So we won't go over all of this because it took me a good couple of hours to read through everything, but I'll give you some of the key points here. They are threatening UK assets now. Ukraine's allies meet in Paris, with Trump calling in US support for security guarantees will be finalized in the coming days, says Macron. It's quite funny when you listen to the statement by Macron, again, trying to be really tough. He's trying to say that he put the pressure onto President Trump. He put the pressure onto President Trump, and he's forced his position. No, you didn't, Macron. Stop talking absolute nonsense. I don't think you could pressure anyone. I mean, your country's about to fall apart. It's absolutely ridiculous. Trump says, again, he'll achieve peace after a new warning for Putin, and Russian recession looming, bank chief warns. I think there was one other thing. Okay, Ukraine has an unbreakable pledge from the West with Trump's backing, says Starmer. Well, Trump hasn't given his backing. I think it's wishful thinking there, although he may do it. He says he still believes a deal is possible. Trump said he had a phone call. He's willing to help Ukraine secure a deal, probably with air support, although the details are vague. And NATO chief said the aim was to have clarity on what the so-called coalition of the willing could deliver so they could discuss what the Americans could provide. I think the Americans will provide what they want to provide, actually. However, Russia's made clear no Western forces should be deployed to Ukraine and has insisted that it should be one of their countries acting as guarantors, which was rejected by Kyiv and the allies. I thought this was an interesting statement. Rutte said on Thursday, Russia had no veto on Western troops being deployed to Ukraine. Why are we interested in what Russia thinks about troops in Ukraine? It's a sovereign country. It's not for them to decide. I thought that was a very interesting statement that he made there. Putin then spent Wednesday with China's Xi and Kim Jong-un as well, and he claims his country's military is pushing forward on all fronts in Ukraine, which I think we know is accurate from the satellite imaging. He warned that without a deal, Moscow was prepared to resolve all our tasks militarily. And again, you've got to actually think about this. Who is winning that conflict right now? It is Russia. They are taking ground every day. They're taking ground. Even though people try and argue that all the time, I read the comments, and that's the thing I love about freedom of speech. People, I love it when people disagree or they have a different opinion of me, because sometimes I learn something. Sometimes I change my opinion. Someone might say, actually, there's this footage here, this satellite footage that shows in this area that they're losing ground or something like that. And I'll say, okay, I've just updated my knowledge today on that. So I think that's one of the good things about freedom of speech that we kind of don't have at the moment. But you look, who's winning there? It's Russia. So they're deliberately, I feel, delaying. They are delaying all these peace talks because they're winning and they're taking ground. Why would they want to come to the negotiating table? I think that's the main question right now. Although I hope they do. We all pray for an end to this conflict, except the European leaders who are making tons of money with the defense manufacturers. But apart from those people, I mean, the rest of us normal human beings that care about mankind and care about people on both sides, Russian and Ukrainian soldiers who are dying, you know, and the families and even civilians getting caught up. I think that's what we care about. But yeah, crazy times, ladies and gents. March 2026 is the new warning. Trust me, I will not be in Europe for March 2026 if anything kicks off. I suggest you think of alternatives yourself. Remember, gold and silver, check out the link below in the description. There's a coupon there for you as well for a discount. Apart from that, thank you so much for being online. Thank you for being a subscriber to the channel. Take care. God bless you. God bless your family. And I will see you on the next one.